We should be able to move yours in front. There you go. Okay, and the level is set.
Okay.
And so, go ahead, round of applause.
My name is Destiny Dietz, and I'm going to be talking to y'all today about ACL grades and the rehabilitation process. Y'all probably all know that I tore my ACL this season, so I just hit a little over a month post-op. So I am interested in this subject, and I know a little bit about it, so I just kind of wanted to inform y'all on the things that I know and just learned. Before I start, I want to give you a little fun fact. Did you know that women are 3 to 5 times more likely than men to tear your ACL? It's because of the hormones in your body and just kind of the structure. Also, there is a 50% chance of tearing other things in your knee when you tear your ACL because of the force it takes to actually tear your ACL. A little background about what an ACL is. It is called the anterior cruciate ligament, and it occurs when the tendon is stretched, partially torn, or completely torn. The most common injury is a complete tear. Symptoms of this injury are pain, a popping noise when your knee shifts or bends, instability of the knee joint, and swelling. The initial injury is an underlying mechanism that often involves a rapid change in direction, a sudden stop, turning, landing after a jump, direct contact of the knee. So you're playing a sport, like a contact sport like football, and someone comes in from the side, there's a higher chance of tearing your ACL if someone hits you, but it also happens just turning or stopping. How it happens is the movements cause the tibia in your leg, the big bone in your lower leg, to shift away from the femur, which is underneath your quad, which places a strain on that joint, and it potentially rips the tendon, and that's why complete tears are more common, because it just all of a sudden gives. Risk factors include female anatomy, like I said, hormones, the way our hips are pointed in, specific sports like football, soccer, poor conditioning, so you're not ready, you're not warmed up, fatigue, you're tired, your muscles don't want to do certain things, and playing on a turf field because of the grass and how slick it is. The second step in the rehabilitation process after the initial injury will be surgery. What happens in the surgery, it involves replacing that torn ACL with a graft, which is a tendon taken from another source. The 3 most common sources that it's taken from is the hamstring, patella, or a cadaver. I chose cadaver mainly because I already had a lot of strain going on in my knee, so the doctors and the surgeons recommended that I take no more for my body because it would be stressful, and there's a longer rehabilitation process if you take it from yourself. I know one big thing with the hamstring graft, a lot of patients 9 months after their surgery have a lot of hamstring weakness and end up tearing their hamstring or re-tearing their ACL to overcompensate for that. Details about the surgery. The surgery is done with a tiny camera inserted inside the knee with additional small incisions made around the knee to insert surgical instruments. This method is less invasive and is proven to result in less pain from surgery, less time in the hospital, and quicker recovery times. I did mine laparoscopically, where they just went in, and I have like baby scars. I think my longest scar is like this, and it went awesome. They basically blow water into your knee. So they blow it up and it gets really big so they can see and just stick the scopes and fix it up. But it's actually really cool when they shove water. In the details of my surgery, I had the surgery notes, and I was able to read when they blew my knee up and what it looked like, and it was awesome. Post-surgery, I think it's really important, on my last point here, about propping your knee up, or whole leg initially, but swelling is really bad after surgery, and your worst days after surgery are going to be 3 to 5 days. My worst day was my second day. because I had 2 nerve blocks, and everybody probably knows what a nerve block is because it's in the name. But they put something in your leg that like you can't feel it at all. And then when you come off of that and you're getting all your feeling back, it's really, really bad. So that's probably the worst thing. And after I woke up from surgery, I had 2. So I was like, okay, I'm feeling great. I'm ready to go. Like, let's start this. And then when I came off of that, it was really, really bad. But the plus about it is you don't feel it for 2 days. So most people decide to go with a nerve block. Rehabilitation is probably the most time-consuming part. I spend about 2 hours a day in therapy, 5 times a week. So, I mean, it's very time-consuming and frustrating. Most surgeons post-surgery give you a CPM machine, and CPM stands for continuous passive motion. It helps with knee flexibility and extension. It basically is just a machine that you put your leg in, strap it in, and it bends your knee for you. With most ACL tears, it's commonly just the ACL, so it immediately after surgery they can start. With mine and my circumstances, I did not get my CPM machine until 4 weeks post-surgery because I had meniscus damage, and they had to sew it up, so I wasn't allowed to use it. Rehabilitation involves slowly expanding the range of motion of the joint and strengthening the muscles around the knee. Some popular things that help do that are, it's called the Russian machine, and it's basically a huge TENS unit that you put on your quad because you have muscle atrophy, and it fires that quad muscle to help you slowly gain it back when you're not weight bearing. After that, there's this new thing called VFR, and it helps swell your muscle and to make it ultimately contract for you. Most ACL injuries post-surgery require 9 to 12 months of intense therapy in order to get back normal function of the knee. And then I have this quick little video that I wanted to show you, kind of what I do at therapy.
I'm Alan Tomkowski here at Triangle Orthopedics. We're going to show you how to flex your knee following surgery. At home, what you could use is a bathrobe belt, a towel, a sheet, a dog leash, whatever you got that you can wrap around the foot. I'm going to have you pull one side on either side of the joint here. Go ahead and let the knee bend, and we're going to slide the heel along the table or bed. And come on back to the start position.
Now this looks a lot easier than it actually is, so take into account for that.
As your range of motion progresses, here's a way that we can modify that stretch. Go ahead and lay back. Flex the hip, and then grab in front of the shin, and go ahead and pull down, flexing the knee. All right, go ahead and sit up.
ACL injuries are not fun for anybody, but with today's technology, it's possible to get back to where you were.
Today we're talking about frozen.
But be back to where you were before the injury. With the dedication to rehab and the fight to get better, there's nothing that can stop you. One major thing that has made a huge difference for me personally has been my mindset about it. In the beginning, I was very angry, mad at my body for letting me down, but now I wake up every single morning ready to take on a new goal and push myself to get better. And this picture is a picture of my knee. I don't know if, can you see that on the screen? Okay, this is where my ACL completely tore. So that's supposed to be connected right there. This is my meniscus damage over here and a little bit right here. These are my bone bruises, and you can see a little bit right there of that hanging on by a thread. That was also my meniscus. But I just wanted to put this in here to kind of show you what my knee looked like. And thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, please. How's your recovery coming?
It's slow, but I got cleared to weight bear, and I actually took my first steps on my own without crutches this past weekend. So
Great.
pretty good.
Thank you. Okay, next we will hear from Elizabeth Carter.
If you look here in front of you, you'll see an example of early animation. Simple, yes, I know, but folks, believe it or not, this simple cartoon would soon grow to be a giant. If it'll load.
You have to press the arrow.
Okay, sorry. Could I possibly start over and get
Sure.
this? Okay, sorry.
From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
as you saw, that was an example of early animation, and it was really simple and really began as more of a stop motion process, but animation has come a long way. A little more than 100 years ago, this is the animation that blew audiences everywhere away with the magic of moving pictures. To this day, animation still blows us away. We look at the magical details and beautifully created worlds, and for a couple hours, you are fully immersed into the story unfolding in front of you. The technology of animation continues to find new ways to experiment and create, but sometimes in order to really appreciate how far we've come, it's good to look at where we started. Animation has made unbelievable growth in the last century. It's gone from flat drawings to three-dimensional virtual reality created through digital technology. So today we'll see a little bit of magic of our own. We'll watch as stick figures and dinosaurs evolve into mice and rabbits, then to walking, talking toys, and eventually into superheroes with faces almost as detailed as our own. It's almost unbelievable to see how far we've come when looking at early animation, but you have to start somewhere. The start of the first animated film started much like films today, with a sheet of paper. So we already saw humorous faces and phases of funny faces by Stuart J. Blackton in 1908. Here is a picture from Phantasmagory, which is a fantasy by Emile Cole in 1908. And Winsor McKay brought animation from stick figures to full-blown dinosaurs in 1921, which changed the style of animation and made a huge impact on how people saw animation as a whole. So here's a clip from Gertie the Dinosaur. So that's still pretty simple, but it was one of the first characters that audiences really felt like they liked how animated she was, how she seemed to have her own character, and she was really playful, and she really became a bit of a movie star in her time. But of course, we can't talk about animation without talking about Walt Disney and Steamboat Willie. So in 1928, Disney released Steamboat Willie, which was the first showing of Mickey Mouse, and today Mickey Mouse is one of the most famous animated characters of all time, if not the most famous. But As Walt Disney took the country by storm, new animation techniques began to rise. Disney was crawling up the food chain, but Disney had competition, and if Disney didn't come up with something fast, then they might be eaten alive. In 1981 to 1988, Disney started to have a little bit of a falling out period, and some people call it the dark age, where their films weren't doing well in the box offices, and most people don't even know what the Black Cauldron is because it just wasn't blowing. No one really watched it that much. But in 1986, John Lasseter created Pixar and released Toy Story, which gave Disney a bit of a renaissance. And it gave Disney an opportunity to, it gave them an opportunity to develop new technology, but in an inexpensive way. So computer animation is actually a lot cheaper than hand animation. And a lot of films today use a mixture of hand animation and computer animation. For example, Mulan and The Road to El Dorado in 1998 and 2000. And today, animation is far from dying. Along with new movies and new technology, animation is also being used for things we use every day. So with every Disney or Pixar film, the animators strive to create new technology, and The Incredibles 2 created technology so that you could see a lot more detail in clothing. For example, on your right, you can really see each strand of fabric, and it really blew audiences away. And a lot of video games have really used animation to boost their graphics. And for anyone who likes video games, a lot of people know that Red Dead Redemption has unbelievable graphics, and some people consider it to have the best graphics. And in educational games for children, they have really improved the animation styles and making it entertaining for kids to look at. For example, Professor Astrocat's Solar System, which is a game to help kids really get a grasp of space and our solar system. And another example is ABC Mouse, Adventure Academy, and Crash Course uses animation to really help students get a better understanding of educational systems. So over the span of a little more than a century, animation has grown and evolved from simple sideshows at carnivals and world fairs to making billions of dollars. So as you can see, even if you are not a fan of animated movies, animation has become important for many things we see today. So next time you're watching a high quality animated film or studying biology with John Green Crash Course videos, or even just a simple cartoon in the middle of the night before you go to bed, remember that all that started with a simple sketch on a blackboard. So with all that said, all I can say is that's all, folks.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Are there any questions, Elizabeth? Okay, at this time, I want to give, Noah Kuditsky an opportunity to come forward and present his outline information. He was not here the other class period. He attended a sporting event.
Do I just pull my outline up on the board or do I?
You can just pull up what you have on your outline. I mean on your laptop.
All right.
That's fine.
Okay. All right, so for mine, I'm doing the RPM Act, and it's an act that is protecting. So basically, it's the Clean Air Act. They changed the interpretation of it, and under the current interpretation they've recently changed, it would be banning the modification of all cars, the modification of cars. So the RPM Act is something they're putting in place to actually stop this interpretation from taking over an entire market. Basically, it would shut down not only like, am I doing this right? All right, I wasn't sure what I'm supposed to be doing for the outline.
You're just giving us background information.
All right, yeah. So basically, it would shut down a $2 billion a year market with hundreds of thousands of jobs just by this one change of interpretation. It would outright ban something a lot of people, including myself, do daily. Like, it's something we love to do, and it's just banning all of it just because of this act. Anyways, I'm like, in no way am I against the Clean Air Act itself. It's a good policy. It's just the change in interpretation where it's banning the modification of cars is what people have problems with, and that's what the RPM Act is seeking to protect.
And the type of informative speech, is it going to be a description speech, explanation speech?
What do I have on that? It's going to be descriptive.
Okay. If he's going into more details.
Yeah,
about
going into more detail about this because it's not something that's commonly known.
Okay.
So,
And then the number of jobs
yeah,
people will lose.
describing like the impact it'll also have on the industry, on the jobs that are going to be lost, the entire market that's going to be gone.
Okay. And so within those main points, you'll cover the job.
Yeah.
Impact, and then just a specific part of that act that you have a problem with. You said it's not.
Yeah, no, it's not the Clean Air Act in total.
Right.
It's
right.
the new interpretation of it.
New interpretation.
Because the Clean Air Act has been around since the 70s.
Okay.
It's just with recent interpretations on the Clean Air Act, it would be changing the way the market is regulated.
Okay. Thank you. All right, I want to thank today's presenters. And we will begin on Wednesday with the members of Group B. So for those individuals who are not here today, they will need to, I will contact them about when they should present. So on Wednesday, we will hear from Joe, Helen Brooke, Kaylee King, Jason Carnegie, Will Martin, and Avery McAllister. All right. Are there any questions? Hearing none, I'll stop recording. Have a good day, everybody.